There is a quality that some men possess that most men spend their entire lives trying to manufacture and never quite achieving. You have felt it in the presence of certain men. The moment they enter a room, something shifts. Not dramatically, not through any particular action or announcement. The room simply becomes aware of them. Conversations do not stop. Heads do not turn in the obvious way. But something in the atmosphere changes. The quality of attention in the room reorganizes itself slightly in the direction of this man without anyone quite deciding to do so. He has not said anything yet. He has not done anything yet. He is simply there. And his being there is enough. This quality is what I mean by masculine presence. And it is one of the most misunderstood qualities in the entire domain of human influence, because the men who possess it almost never understand what they are doing, and the men who are trying to acquire it almost always go about the acquisition in exactly the wrong way. The wrong way is to study what the men who have it appear to do and attempt to replicate those behaviors. The slow walk, the measured speech, the deliberate use of silence. The studied confidence of a man who has learned that confidence looks a certain way and is deploying that look with as much accuracy as he can manage. This approach produces something that the men who genuinely have presence can identify immediately, and that most other people can feel without being able to name. The slightly wrong texture of a quality that has been assembled from the outside rather than developed from the inside. Presence cannot be assembled from the outside. It can only be developed from the inside. And the development required is not the development of any particular behavior. It is the development of a particular kind of man. My name is Niccolò Machiavelli. I spent 14 years in the most politically concentrated environment in Renaissance Europe, observing men of genuine presence and men who were attempting to manufacture it. And what I observed about the difference between them is what I want to share with you today. Not as a set of behaviors to adopt. As a map of the interior development that genuine presence is the outward expression of. I want to begin with the most important observation I ever made about masculine presence and what produces it. The men who command rooms without trying are not trying to command rooms. This sounds obvious when stated plainly. Its implications are not obvious at all, and most men who are trying to develop presence never fully grasp them. The man who is trying to command the room is, by definition, oriented toward the room. His attention is on how he is being perceived, on whether the impression he is making is the impression he intended, on whether the specific signals he is sending are being received in the way he designed them to be received. This orientation is visible, not always consciously visible, but felt. The room senses the man who is monitoring the room's response to him with an accuracy that is difficult to articulate but impossible to miss. And the sensing of that monitoring produces a specific response in the room that is the opposite of the response the monitoring man is trying to produce. Because what the monitoring communicates is need. The need for the room's attention. The need for the room's approval. The need for the room's validation of the impression being so carefully constructed and maintained. And need, as I have written in other contexts, is the signal that most reliably undermines the response it is trying to produce. The man who commands the room without trying is oriented not toward the room but toward something beyond it. His attention is on what he is thinking about, on the problem he is turning over in his mind, on the conversation he is having rather than on the audience for that conversation, on whatever it is that has his genuine attention, which is not, in this moment, whether the room is responding to him. And the room, encountering a man whose attention is genuinely elsewhere, responds in the way that human attention always responds to the genuinely absorbed. It moves toward him. Not because he commanded it to. Because genuine absorption in something beyond the immediate social performance is one of the rarest signals available in any room full of people who are all, to varying degrees, monitoring how they are being received. The man who is genuinely not monitoring is genuinely unusual. And genuine unusualness, as we have established, commands attention. The first quality that produces genuine masculine presence is what I have called across this channel virtue. And in this specific context, I want to describe what virtue looks like from the outside, in the room, before we examine what it requires on the inside. The man of genuine virtue in a room is characterized by a specific quality of stillness. Not the stillness of a man who is suppressing movement because he has read that stillness is powerful. The stillness of a man who is not moved by the social currents in the room because his direction is his own rather than determined by those currents. Most people in any social gathering are in continuous low-level response to the social environment. They adjust their posture slightly in response to who is looking at them. They modulate their expression in response to who they are near. They shift the topic they are discussing in response to the apparent interests of whoever is closest. They are, in other words, continuously shaped by the room they are in. The man of genuine virtue is not continuously shaped by the room he is in. He is continuously himself in the room. His posture is what it is because that is how he carries himself rather than because of who is watching. His expression reflects what he is actually thinking rather than what the social environment seems to call for. His contribution to any conversation is what he actually thinks rather than what seems most likely to be well received. This consistency of self across different social environments is one of the most visible expressions of genuine presence, because it is so rare. Most people are chameleons, adjusting continuously to the social coloring of whatever environment they are in. The man who is genuinely himself in every room he enters stands out with a clarity that requires no effort on his part because the contrast between him and the adjusting people around him is visible without being announced. Build the quality of being genuinely yourself in every room. Not through the performance of consistency but through the actual development of a self substantial enough that it does not need to adjust to every social environment it enters. That self is what genuine presence is the expression of. The second quality is what I would call the weight of accumulated experience. The men who command rooms without trying have almost always done things. Not performed things. Done things. They have been in situations that required genuine capability and they have met those situations with whatever they had. They have built things that did not exist before they built them. They have navigated difficulties that did not resolve themselves conveniently. They have come through experiences that left marks on them. And those marks are visible, not through stories told about the experiences, through the specific quality of a man who has been somewhere, who has done something, who has encountered reality with enough directness and enough seriousness that reality has left its trace in how he moves through it now. This is what gives certain men the quality of weight that presence produces in a room, not physical weight. The weight of accumulated experience that has been genuinely processed rather than performed. The young man who has done nothing yet but who has studied how to appear as if he has done things produces a different impression from the man who has actually done them. Not because the young man is dishonest, because the doing itself produces something in a man that the study of the appearance of doing cannot replicate. It produces the specific texture of a man who knows what things actually cost, who has encountered failure and continued, who has built and lost and rebuilt, who has faced pressure and discovered what he is made of under it. That texture is visible in presence without being displayed. It is the background quality of a man who has been shaped by genuine engagement with reality rather than by the careful management of how he appears to engage with it. Go do things. Real things. Difficult things. Things that require genuine capability and that carry genuine consequences if the capability is insufficient. Not for the presence they will eventually produce. Because the doing is what makes a life genuinely lived rather than performed. The presence will be a consequence. It always is for the man who has genuinely done something. The third quality is the one I find most consistently underappreciated in discussions of masculine presence. The quality of genuine interest in other people. The men who command the most genuine and sustained attention in any room are almost never the ones who are performing the most. They are the ones who are attending the most. Who are genuinely curious about what is happening around them, who listen with a quality of attention that makes the person being listened to feel that what they are saying is actually being received rather than merely tolerated while the listener waits for his turn. I described this in another context as the giving of genuine attention. Here I want to make the specific point about how it contributes to presence. Most men in social situations are performing confidence, performing intelligence, performing the qualities they believe the room values and that they want to be seen as having. Their attention is primarily inward on the performance rather than outward on what is actually happening. The man whose attention is genuinely outward, who is actually curious about what the people around him are thinking and saying and experiencing, produces a completely different impression. He produces the impression of a man who has enough going on inside himself that he does not need to perform, who is secure enough in what he is that he can afford to be genuinely interested in what others are rather than concerned with whether others are sufficiently interested in him. This security, expressed through genuine outward interest, is one of the most compelling qualities available in any social environment, because it is the direct expression of the sufficiency that genuine presence is built on. The man who needs nothing from the room is the man who can afford to give it his genuine attention. And genuine attention, given freely and without agenda, is one of the most powerful gifts available in human interaction. Develop genuine curiosity about people, not as a strategy for appearing interested, as the natural expression of a mind rich enough to find other minds genuinely interesting. The fourth quality concerns what I would call the economy of expression. The man of genuine presence almost always says less than the men around him, not because he has less to say, because he has developed the discipline to say only what is worth saying and to hold the rest. I have written in other contexts about the art of silence and the specific power it carries in human interaction. In the context of masculine presence, I want to make the specific point about what the economy of expression communicates to the room. Most people in social situations fill the available space with words, not because everything they say is worth saying, because the silence is uncomfortable and the words relieve it, because the performance of engagement requires continuous output, because the absence of words feels, to the man producing them, like an absence of presence when it is frequently the opposite. The man who speaks only when he has something worth saying, and who holds the silence comfortably when he does not, communicates several things simultaneously through the economy of his expression. He communicates that he is not performing, that he is not uncomfortable with silence, that his sense of himself in the room does not depend on continuous verbal output to maintain it, that he is attending rather than broadcasting, and that when he does speak, what he says will be worth hearing because it has been held until it was ready rather than released as soon as it was available. This economy of expression, combined with the genuine quality of what is said when the economy produces speech, creates a specific and powerful dynamic in any room. The words of the man who speaks rarely carry more weight than the words of the man who speaks constantly, not because they are inherently better, because their rarity signals that they have been selected, and selection signals value. Develop the discipline of speaking less than you want to speak, not through the suppression of what you have to say but through the honest assessment of whether it is worth saying before you say it. The words you hold will make the words you release more powerful, and the silence between them will communicate more about the quality of your presence than any of the words themselves. The fifth quality is the most fundamental and the one that all the others build toward and rest upon: the quality of being genuinely at home in yourself. This is what I mean when I describe the man of genuine presence as a man who commands the room without trying. He is not trying to command the room because he is too busy being genuinely at home in himself to concern himself with what the room is doing. Being genuinely at home in yourself is not a personality type. It is not a temperament some men are born with and others lack. It is the outcome of a specific kind of interior work done across sufficient time. The work of knowing what you value and why, of having tested those values against genuine pressure and found them holding, of having built things, failed at things, come through things, in ways that have given you the accumulated evidence of your own capability and your own character that genuine self-knowledge requires. The man who has done this work carries a quality of interior settledness that is immediately legible to everyone around him without being displayed. It is not performed. It is simply present. The settled quality of a man who knows who he is and what he is doing and why, and who does not require any particular external confirmation to remain clear about those things. That settledness is what rooms respond to, not to the confidence that is performed over anxiety, not to the strength that is displayed to conceal uncertainty, to the genuine article, the real settledness of a man who is genuinely at home in himself in a way that the performing men around him are not. And the real article is always distinguishable from the performance, always, however skilled the performance, because the settled man is not managing anything. He is simply being what he is. And being what you are, without management and without performance, is the rarest and most compelling thing available in any room. I want to address something directly that the discussion of masculine presence always eventually raises. Is this something that can be developed, or is it something that some men simply have? The honest answer, drawn from everything I observed across my career, is that genuine presence is always developed. The men who appear to have been born with it have, in almost every case I examined closely, simply developed it earlier or under circumstances that made the development less visible. What they developed was not presence directly. They developed the qualities that presence is the expression of. The genuine absorption in something beyond themselves. The accumulated experience of having done difficult things. The genuine curiosity about the people around them. The economy of expression that comes from having something worth saying. The interior settledness of a man who knows who he is. These qualities are buildable. They are not buildable quickly. They are not buildable through any particular practice designed specifically to produce them. They are the natural byproduct of a life lived with genuine seriousness and genuine attention and genuine engagement with the work of becoming. The man who pursues genuine development, who builds genuine capability and genuine character and genuine depth of understanding, develops genuine presence as a consequence. Not as a goal. As the natural outward expression of what the inward development has produced. This is why I return, in every conversation on this channel, to the same foundation. Become genuinely worth being in the presence of, not by studying what presence looks like and replicating the appearance. By building, patiently and seriously and without ceasing, the interior life that genuine presence is always and only the outward expression of. Machiavelli in his years of greatest influence was not a physically imposing man. He was not a man of noble birth or great wealth or the specific social advantages that the courts of his era valued most visibly. What he had was a mind that had done the genuine work, that had engaged seriously with the most difficult questions of political life and arrived at genuine understanding rather than borrowed consensus, that had been shaped by genuine experience in genuine high-stakes situations in ways that left the specific marks of a man who had been somewhere and seen something and understood what he had seen with a clarity that most of the men around him had not achieved. And when he entered a room, that quality was present, not displayed. Present, in the specific texture of how he moved through the space, in the economy of what he said, in the genuine attention he gave to what was actually in the room rather than to how the room was responding to him, in the settledness of a man who knew what he knew and did not need the room to confirm it. He commanded attention without seeking it, not because he had studied how to command attention, because what he had built inside himself was genuinely worth attending to. That is the model. Not the performance of presence. The development of what presence is always the expression of. Build the interior life. Do the genuine work. Become the man whose being in a room changes the quality of the room not because he is trying to change it but because what he has built inside himself is real enough, and substantial enough, and genuinely compelling enough, that the room cannot help but respond. That man does not need to try to command the room. He already does. Simply by being there. Simply by being what he has built himself to be. That is enough. It has always been enough. And it will always be enough for the man who has done the genuine work to become it.